Hi. I recently read something and I want to talk about it. And it was Lolita. Lolita was originally a book that used to be on my never to be read list because, from what I heard, it was a tender love story between a grown ass man and a 12-year-old girl. And that sheer idea made me very uncomfortable. I learned about the book at the ripe age of 14 from Wattpad of all places, where a fictional English professor talks about it as like a very passionate love story, but he also ends up grooming his students. So that was an experience. But recently, my interest was piqued again, and I read it. So there's a lot to unpack here. Now, even if you've never heard of the book, let alone read it, you must have heard of the name Lolita. A name, when uttered, makes you think of a teenage girl in vintage two pieces, with polka dots, driving in the wind, listening to old classics with a cherry flavored lollipop in your mouth. Basically, if the music video to Deja Vu by Olivia Rodrigo was written by Lana Del Rey. Ironically, Lana Del Rey also has a song called Lolita, which I think further played into this aesthetic. Because there's a line in the song that goes, I know what the boys want and I'm not gonna play. But you'll learn the significance of that later. Okay, hi, editing version of myself here. I just realized I never explained this part. I mentioned it and then I forgot about it. So basically, I was referring to this strict rules Humbert has for Lolita when she's 14, 15, and now you'll learn about it later in the video. And you'll understand what this line was referring to. I forgot to explain it. So why did a book on CSA become such an aesthetic? Tumblr. It was obviously Tumblr. If you want to misunderstand something and have a lot of badly written teenage emo poems, Tumblr was the place to go. Now, Tumblr was at its peak in the 2010s, 2015 era, and I thankfully never had access to that. But there were a lot of blogs related to Lolita and the Lolita fashion. A lot of people followed it, there were a lot of them, and it became a part of the Tumblr girl aesthetic. Now, if you don't know what that is, I don't care, look it up in your own time. But I never had access to the drugs are cool and I was born in the darkness app. But I did have access to EDs are cool and you should yourself app. Instagram, I'm talking about Instagram. It's Instagram, which is somehow even worse. But there are still some accounts that exist that kind of romanticize the idea of Lolita, or I'll get an edit or two about the movies. There are movies, by the way. We'll talk about them later. But yes. And it's usually to a Lana Del Rey song or a Marina song. But yeah. But my interest recently was piqued again to read this book when Priscilla, the Elvis movie, came out about his wife. I've never seen that movie because I was very uncomfortable with the idea of grooming. I'll watch it someday. But all the edits that I saw, there was one particular one that piqued my interest again to read Lolita, the book. It was when Elvis is kind of like hugging her and picking her up and like spinning her around, and the caption read, I want love like this to attack me. And I was like, "Mm, mm." So I read the book. I read it. And my point is that, what am I saying? The point I'm trying to make is that I believe that Lolita became such an aesthetic because a lot of people didn't understand the book, in my opinion. Now we get a little bit of an insight into our narrator, Humbert, who's a European professor, by the way, and he tells us the story about Annabelle, a girl he fell in love with when he was 13 years old. Unfortunately, she passes away from a sickness, and this chance to never complete his young, passionate love story becomes one of the reasons why he's attracted to girls from the age group of 9 to 14. Now, I mildly disagree with this because keep in mind, we're reading the book through Humbert's eyes. This is completely his perspective, and you'll notice that whoever he's attracted to, or like finds fascinating never reminds him of Annabelle. In fact, she's barely mentioned in the book after this story he tells us. I feel like she just kind of becomes a means of justification for his actions. Let me give you an example. We loved each other with a premature love marked by a fierceness that so often destroys adult lives. I was a strong lad and survived, but the poison was in the wound, and the wound remained ever open. And soon I found myself maturing amid a civilization which allows a man of 25 to court a girl of 16, but not a girl of 12. I had so called normal relationships with a number of women having pumpkins or pears for breasts. I was consumed by a hell furnace of localized lust for every passing nymphet, whom, as a law abiding poltroon, I never dared approach. So, take of that what you will. There are many instances in the book where he refers to women as human females, like they're a completely different species people get together with. He also has intercourse with a 18-year-old sex worker, but he describes her as someone who may have added a year or two to her age, and she's 18 years old, apparently. He loses interest in her when she starts presenting herself in a more womanly manner, if you will, like wearing lipstick, dressing up a bit mature. It's this childlike innocence and the childlike features that attracts him to these girls. And when he doesn't get that, he just kind of loses interest. He does get married eventually to protect himself. Why I put a strong emphasis on this, you'll understand later. But he does get married, and the woman he chooses because she also has some childlike features to her. Eventually, she cheats on him, they get divorced. He moves to the States where he meets Dolores, his landlady's young daughter, who he falls in love with. She's 12 years old, and he falls in love with her. Now, when he first sees Dolores, he refers to her as the dead bride, I believe, referring to Annabelle. Now, remember when I said I didn't agree with this? It's because if you pay attention while reading this book, there are instances where you'll realize that Humbert is an unreliable narrator. There are many things that happen in the book where he says something and then immediately does something else that contradicts what he said. Let me show you. Nowadays, you have to be a scientist to be a killer. No, no, I was neither. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the majority of sex offenders that hanker for some throbbing, sweet moaning, physical but not necessarily coital relation with a girl child are inadequate, passive, timid strangers who merely ask the community to allow them to pursue their practically harmless, so called aberrant behavior. The little hot, wet, private acts of sexual deviation without the police and society cracking down upon them. We are not sex fiends. We do not rape as good soldiers do. We are unhappy, mild, dog eyed gentlemen, sufficiently well integrated to control our urge in the presence of adults, but ready to give years and years of life for one chance to touch a nymphet. Empathetically, no killers are we. Poets never kill. See how he says the connection he seeks is not necessarily coital and that they're harmless? But throughout the book, you'll realize that's not the case. And in fact, this fascination he has is just of like pure lust. Like there's no love, no poetic, tragic tenderness to it that he says he has or people like him have. It's completely to justify his actions. It's not something you can trust. Anything he says in this book is not trustable, hence him being an unreliable narrator. Even the person he marries to control his urges, he marries because he's attracted to her childlike looks. Anyways, he stays with the landlady Charlotte and Dolores, the 12-year-old girl, and he writes letters or journals about how obsessed he is with her and how he would do anything to have her. Eventually, the landlady Charlotte falls in love with our narrator, Humbert, and gives him a letter in which she offers him an ultimatum. Either he moves out or he marries her, because this is just torturous for her to see him there every day and not be married to him. Basically, she's very much in love with him, and at first he's terrified by this thought, like he's weirded out by it. But then he thinks of the advantages he would have. if he becomes the stepfather of Dolores. I might blackmail. No, that is too strong a word. Mauve mail Big Haze into letting me consort with Little Haze by gently threatening the poor doting Big Dove with dissertation if she tried to bar me from playing with my legal stepdaughter. Also, I forgot to mention Dolores is at camp for 2 months while they get married. Like, they get married during that, she doesn't come back for the wedding or anything. And I remember when she was going to camp, our narrator was so heartbroken by the thought that somebody was taking her away from him, and he writes about it constantly. He writes about his strong desire to have this girl child that he's obsessed with. And he also writes about how disgusted he is by Charlotte, his wife. Eventually, Charlotte does find his journal where he writes about this. And this happens also while Dolores is at camp, right? And she tells him that she'll leave with her daughter, and she writes a bunch of letters to her friends to warn him about Humbert, basically. And when she's going out to send them, she gets hit by a car and dies. Now that it's just him and Dolores, he picks her up from camp and essentially kidnaps her. They book a hotel room from a hotel, which, by the way, his dead wife recommended, and then they stay there. He also doesn't tell her that her mother is dead. He just tells her that she's hospitalized. Sorry, and that's where they're going. So they spend the nights in this hotel room, right? And he tries to drug her. Let me check my notes. Right. He tries to drug her by tricking her into thinking some pills are vitamins, and then he gives them to her. But he doesn't make any sexual advances at her that night because she's in and out of her sleep. Like, she's not completely passed out. So he doesn't like say anything. But when Dolores tells him about this sexual experience she had with a boy at camp who was older, he was 13, she's 12, he basically gets jealous and then he sexually assaults her the same night. Now that we're this far into the book, we truly dive into the true narcissistic, obsessive, controlling nature of Humbert. In the book, there's a line where he says, "Dear reader, it was her who seduced me first." Like, he implies that it was Dolores who seduced him, which, again, due to Humbert being an unreliable narrator, we can't trust. He also describes himself to be extremely handsome and charming and someone who could have any woman he wants, but it's just nymphets who satisfy him. In the book, he also says he looks like one of the actors Dolores likes and is confident that she must like him too. Now, even if she had a mild crush on him, I don't think she could seduce him. She's 12 years old. She's a child. But in the book, they also have a conversation where Dolores refers to them as lovers, and Humbert says to her to not talk like that. But again, it's from his perspective. It may not have happened at all. It may have been twisted. So take of that what you will. There are multiple instances in the book which clearly imply that Dolores is very uncomfortable with the dynamic that they have. For example, this is the night after he sexually assaults her. "You chump," she said, sweetly smiling at me. "You revolting creature. I was a daisy fresh girl, and look at what you've done to me. I ought to call the cops and tell them you raped me. Oh, you dirty, dirty old man." Was she joking? An ominous, hysterical note rang through her silly words. She is very uncomfortable with this, and the ominous tone that rang through her, it's because she might have been being serious. She might have been completely serious, and he sees it as a joke. Throughout this interaction, they're getting in a car to go out and get something, and Dolores is in pain, like she's in constant pain. She implies that during their interaction he must have torn something in her. She is uncomfortable when she gets into the car. She's making hissing sounds because she's in pain, and all Humbert can think about is how her mood might prevent him from making love to her again. So she's unable to sit properly, she's in pain, and out of desperation, finally, she asks him to call the hospital because she wants to talk to her mother. And that's when he says that her mother is dead. They stop by to get a lot of stuff like frocks, tennis rackets, candies, and just anything a child might require. You'll see this pattern throughout the book. He'll buy her a lot of stuff in return for sexual favors, if you will. And there's also a thing they get, which is a box of sanitary pads. Now, there's, as I said, Dolores says that he tore something inside her. I don't know if that implies if there was a tear in the hymen during the interaction that they had. A hymen is a tissue that can tear during sexual activities, and it can hurt sometimes, but usually it doesn't. And I believe it can bleed from 4 to 24 hours. I think that's what they imply, but I could be wrong here. But that night they share separate hotel rooms, right? But she comes sobbing in the middle of the night to his room, and Humbert says, "You see, she had absolutely nowhere else to go." And this tone implies a sense of victory, a win, a opportunity that he has to clearly take advantage of this poor helpless girl who has basically no idea what's going on. And it's absolutely heartbreaking to read that. It was that point in the book where I was like, I just had to shut it and then just be like, it's so hauntingly heartbreaking to read. And this is how volume 1 of the book ends. Now in volume 2, Dolores is 14, 15 years old, and he enrolls her into a school. He has a very strict list of rules that she has to follow, like no parties, no conversation with boys, not even discussing boy girl relationships or anything a normal teenager does, except she's not normal. She's Humbert's Lolita, a girl whose childhood was robbed from her, and you'll see the effects of it as she enters school. He also threatens her and terrorizes her so that she doesn't tell anybody about this disgusting dynamic they have going on. For example, let me read this to you. Finally, let us see what happens if you, a minor, accused of having impaired the morals of an adult in a respectable inn. What happens if you complain to the police of me having kidnapped and raped you? Let us suppose they believe you, a minor female who allows a person over 21 to know her carnally involves her victim into statutory rape or second degree sodomy, depending on the technique, and the maximum penalty is 10 years. So I go to jail. Okay, I go to jail. But what happens to you, my orphan? Well, you are luckier. You become the ward of Department of Public Welfare, which I'm afraid sounds a little bleak. After this, he says he's succeed in terrorizing Lolita and says that she's a child with not a very high IQ. Gee, man, I wonder why. Why doesn't she have an high IQ? How could this happen? We see him control her every move, like everything she does, keeping an eye on it. He even observes her from a distance when she's talking to some of her girlfriends. It's suffocating to read. We also see the effects of abuse that Dolores goes through when Humbert is invited to talk to one of her teachers. Dolly is obsessed by sexual thoughts for which she finds no outlet and will tease and martyrize other girls or even our younger instructors because they do have innocent dates with boys. After this conversation, they have a big fight in which they're both yelling at each other. She accuses him of violating him. She says she loathes him. She also accuses him of taking advantage of her when he was married to her mother. This is the girl that Humbert said seduced him while she was 12, might I add. So that is a huge fight. And in Humbert's eyes, it's like a normal fight two people in a relationship have. It's very uncomfortable to read, I'd say. Okay, so fast forwarding a little bit, obviously Dolores feels trapped, right? She feels violated. She hates the person she's living with, and she does manage to escape by getting herself admitted in an hospital. And with the help of a playwright she found, sh- he pretends to be her uncle and gets her discharged. This playwright is also an adult and he also violates her later. But before this instance, when, obviously Dolores asked for help from this playwright, but before this instance, we see the playwright following them and, keeping an eye on them basically. And this completely terrifies Humbert. He sees this person who is following them as someone who wants to tear him and his aging mistress. Yes, that's what he refers to her as now, as of now, sometimes. That somebody wants to tear them apart. That's what he refers to. Anyways, she escapes and is missing for 2 years from Humbert's perspective, and we see him have a somewhat normal relationship with this woman called Rita. Until 2 years later, I think, right, he receives a letter from Dolores asking for some money. Dolores is now 17 years old. She's married and pregnant. She's married and pregnant at 17 years old. He goes to meet her acting as a estranged father because she didn't tell her husband about the dynamic that they had, obviously. She tells him everything, of course, about the playwright, how she escaped, and how he threw her out when she refused to act in a weird pornographic film of his. He asks her to come back, and Dolores, of course, refuses. He says he loves her, and she, of course, still refuses. He gives her the money she's owed, which is her inheritance money. He accepts her request and he leaves. He finds the playwright and he shoots him dead, for which he's arrested. The book ends with him wishing Lolita the best for her future life because he's writing a memoir, by the way. And we know that Lolita passed away during childbirth, and Humbert passed away shortly after writing this memoir. We learn this in the foreword of the book, and that's how the book ends. We'll get to more of my thoughts later, but first, there's one more thing I want to talk about. Now, I've never seen the two adaptations of the book that have come out simply because I've seen a lot of clips and edits of the movies, and I can tell one thing about them: they fucked it up. This is not about the book being better than the movie and that, that classic war between the movies and the books. This is about taking the concept of the book and what it represents and then throwing it out the window and watching it fall to its death. Before I get on with the movies, I would also like to talk about another thing that I have a problem with. Why doesn't this book have a single decent cover? For the life of me, I hadn't seen a good decent cover of this book. I mean, I'm sure there are better ones now, but when I was 14, I don't remember seeing any. In fact, that was also one of the factors that just further turned me off from reading this book. If you look up Lolita covers and you press the images, you'll be infuriated. Literally every single one of them has, or most of them, have pictures of little girls in swimsuits, or, just Humbert picking her up, or, the legs of little girls in tiny skirts or in slacks. Hell, even my book cover has a little girl on it. But I don't get the point of that because the author himself said that he wanted pure colors, accurately drawn details, just pure melting colors and no girls. He stated that very clearly. He didn't want any girls on the cover. And the publishers, did not understand the assignment, and neither did the critics. A lot of the critics called this book a tragic tale of romance or an erotica, and it is neither. It feels like everyone failed the book. Am I being too passionate about this story about fictional people that don't exist? Yes, I am, because of the influence it had. And I don't know why it's described as an erotica. There's not a single sexually descriptive scene in the book. The most you have is the little accidental touches that happen between Humbert and Dolores, like their knees accidentally touch, and that satisfies them, and that's it. That's that. So no, it's nowhere near an erotica. I think the author himself said in an interview that a lot of people went into it expecting an erotica and got bored when they realized it wasn't and just dropped it. Anyways, that's besides the point. What I'm trying to say is, I don't think I can or I will ever watch the movies because, as I said, the concept out the window. Like, for starters, the director of the movie thought that it was one of the softest tragic love stories ever written. And not only that, he cast an underage girl to play the character of Dolores, who ended up being heavily sexualized, anyways, both the character and the actor. In the book, Dolores is also described as dressing up as tomboyish or, being muddy from playing or something like a normal child dresses. And in the movies, she looks like this. From everything I've seen and heard about these adaptations, all I can say is that they ended up becoming a blueprint for how to successfully fail your source material. And to make things worse, the posters look like this. They also made it seem like Dolores constantly came on to Humbert in both the movies to make it seem like a love story, which it clearly wasn't. I would like to add that in the book, there's a scene that implies that Humbert is thinking about getting Dolores pregnant so that he could have another nymphet he could abuse. The directors read this and were like, now that's a love story. Not only that, to make things worse, I believe in both the movies an underage actress was casted, and in both the movies this story was portrayed as a love story. They casted an underage actress not once, but twice, who ended up being heavily sexualized. They also made a story about abuse into a love story not once, but twice. It's baffling to me. It's infuriating to see and read about. I believe that Lolita should never and can't be adapted because it's going against everything that the book represents, which is how easily a grown man can take advantage of an innocent girl and completely steal her childhood. Now, why was this book even written if it was going to be so controversial? I believe it was to show that no matter how much you humanize or characterize your predator, your abuser, they will still, in fact, remain a predator or an abuser. Was it to test our morals? Maybe. And boy, did we fail so miserably. We ended up doing exactly what Humbert did, which was justify his ever so tragic, soft love story. The author also has other works, I believe, representing this idea. There's a poem called Lilith where a man is attracted to a child, and a book called The Enchanter, I believe, where a father is attracted to his stepdaughter. This man loves writing about grown ass people who are attracted to little girls. But the point I'm trying to make is that Lolita is a literally masterpiece. And it is a tragic masterpiece, just a misunderstood one. Throughout the book, I refer to Lolita as Dolores, because Lolita is just an idea in Humbert's head of this enchanting seductress and not just a child who he so easily violates and robs her of her innocence and a childhood. I wish more people understood the point of the book and didn't fail it like it has been for so many years. That was a heavy video. That was a very heavy video. It was even harder to record because I wrote a proper script, and while I was, explaining the book, I couldn't remember what I wanted to say and I had to constantly look at the notes. It was hard to record. Okay, just bear with me here. It was a heavy video. If I wanted to, I could talk about this book for hours and this video could be hours long, but I just covered the main points and what I thought was wrong with how this book influenced people. Anyways, the next video will possibly be lighter, hopefully. I'm currently reading a lighter book, so we'll see if I want to make a video on that. Anyways, subscribe if you want to. I talk about random things and I also sing sometimes. Stay here if you like that kind of stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.